Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and Restless official. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. For the time being, the search for the Young and the Restless is finished. At last, Nick and Billy located Phyllis and Sharon. Now Sharon and Phyllis don't have to look for clues, solve puzzles, or figure out how to escape the perilous game Alan, or is it Martin, set up for them. It was like an Easter egg hunt gone wrong, as Sharon described it. When Billy informed Nick that his family had experienced a lot in a very short amount of time, he was correct. Let's examine this perplexing tale of problems in more detail. What is the current year's age? 11 weeks, roughly? During those 11 weeks, Sharon Collins could boast that she was one of the few soap opera characters to be abducted and held captive twice, both times in a prison that resembled a dungeon. It's no little accomplishment. Since the start of the year, poor Sharon has seldom had a shower or changed her clothes. She was abducted on her way to a party on New Year's Eve, and on Valentine's Day, she was abducted once more. Thus, Sharon has practically been dressed for the holidays throughout the entirety of 2025 thus far. Spring will arrive soon. Someone please alter Sharon's clothes. How can one character even experience that? We may probably be relieved that Sharon wasn't abruptly put on hold once more, as has happened with all of her previous crisis situations in recent years. And it was a kidnapping. There was a gas leak, Valentine's Day cards, toxic water, antidotes, board games, eerie music, a mystery voice on an antiquated megaphone, and Phyllis screaming. What more could Sharon want than to remain in the center of attention? The audience could have found it a bit excessive, but that was the only issue. Valentine's Day informed us that YNR will soon be reunited with Chick and Philly, but did we really need to witness a psychological warfare kidnapping to make that happen, just 2 weeks after Sharon's most recent adventure with kidnapping? The adversary status of Sharon and Phyllis also appeared to be fabricated. Although there is a long-standing history of strong distaste between the two characters, it had at least escalated to the point of being hostile a few years prior. In order to prevent Sharon from disclosing the truth about JT in 2017, Phyllis even took her on vacation. Although 2024 turned them into adversaries once more, Phyllis's emotional response upon hearing that Sharon had breast cancer also demonstrated that her feelings for Sharon had evolved. And now, Tracy's new fiancé, who has never even seen them, has decided that they should be enemies once more. What are you going to say now? Although we're confident that we'll receive some answers shortly, we're not sure if they will make any sense at all. Additionally, we have no idea whether Alan is the twin who passed away last year, whether he was always the crazy twin, whether neither twin passed away, whether the actual Alan fell in love with Tracy and was later replaced by Martin, whether both brothers have been participating in this game, etc. While it's good when a soap opera keeps you guessing, too much guesswork might drive away viewers and give you a headache. Besides, Alan and Martin had nothing to do with Phyllis and Sharon. We had only met him a few times, and he was a self-contained figure who only interacted with Tracy off-screen. Since Alan has no established history with Sharon and Phyllis and no way of knowing their own relationship history, the show's justification for Alan/Martin tormenting them in order for them to become best friends will probably be fabricated and make very little sense. Breaking poor Tracy's heart for no apparent reason isn't even included in this. As she prepares to have the rug ripped out from under her without cause, this cherished longtime character is ecstatic for the first time in years. Wouldn't poor reoccurring Tracy be allowed to live her life in peace with a kind doctor who wasn't a psychopath? Was that asking for too much? Nick and Billy put forth a lot of effort and were successful in their search for Sharon and Phyllis. Sharon and Phyllis are secure now, even if they stumbled through the work and chance tisk them the entire time. Thus, we may remove our hands from our ears and Summer can cease complaining. Oh, phew! The disastrous farce of the incompetent police officers and two renegade middle-aged guys attempting to enter an abandoned building was at least entertaining. They had no idea that Nick's amazing rescue abilities were making Sharon and Phyllis chuckle down in the basement. And in relation to Summer. Is it summer vacation time? We need a vacation from Summer's constant confusion and whining. This time, we also require an explanation for her attire. When she worried about her mother, why did she dress like a cowgirl? To divert our attention from her demeanor? How much more complaining is she capable of? When she hardly sees her kid and yet won't leave her hotel room to let Harrison live with her, how many more times can she worry about him? Summer's life is characterized by her constant rage. Every time she is around another woman, she always has her nose in the air, never has anything good to say, and never just relaxes. Enough. Please. We didn't realize we had it in you, Claire. Even though Kyle had never dated before, little Miss Innocent understands how to flirt in a club. We like what we see, but we wonder if Claire is growing into her own or if there are still things she hasn't shared about herself. Claire and Kyle have been dull and utterly manufactured. As we're certain would happen with Claire, it nearly felt like Kyle and Lola, another woman whose virginity Kyle took before dumping her for Summer. In any case, Summer and Kyle are deserving of one another. Perhaps Claire is deserving of Holden. There was more energy and oomph in those few exchanges about 007 and martinis than in any of the sequences involving Kyle and Claire that we have witnessed in the past year. Send Kyle and Summer back to Paris so they may learn how to be responsible adults, and give us more of that. A few silent moments between Victor and his black sheep son may have won the week, but Nick received all the publicity as the hero of the rescue. Adam has had his father's love, which is all he has ever desired. We will appreciate it while it lasts, even if it is likely that he will ruin it. Chelsea is also doing well because Chatham's round 1,000,000,001 has officially begun. As we prepare for Tracy's ultimate heartbreak, YNR fans, till next week. Seth remembered that he had previously contacted Nikki and that they had met at meetings. Seth questioned Nikki about why it had taken her so long to call him. Nikki acknowledged that Victor had nearly discovered an empty office flask she had stashed away to test her determination, and that she had attempted and failed to win her struggle on her own. Seth admonished Nikki not to lie and acknowledged that he had made mistakes many times. With a sigh of relief, Nikki told Seth that it was beneficial to speak with someone who did not pass judgment on her. Victor thought she was the strongest person in the world, Nikki sobbed. With a wince, Seth said, "Oh. That's a high standard to meet." Because Victor had saved her so many times, Nikki sobbed that she owed him her life. Seth told Nikki that she needed to heal for herself and no one else, and he warned her not to allow anyone control over her life. Seth instructed Nikki to call him at any time of day. Nikki acknowledged that her recuperation appeared more challenging than in the past. "Well, maybe," Seth said, "but pay attention to me. You don't have to deal with this by yourself." Desperate, Nikki said that she had been avoiding Seth because she had previously relied on close friends, both of whom were now deceased. Victor came over to welcome Nikki. Seth revealed to Victor that he was sponsoring Nikki's Alcoholics Anonymous. Victor was reminded by Nikki that Seth was very private. Seth pointed out that progress, not perfection, was the foundation of healing. "I don't anticipate any missteps now, do you, darling?" Victor asked, turning to face Nikki. Victor said that he would let Nikki and Seth continue their meeting. Nikki informed Seth that their meeting had been beneficial and thanked him. She brushed him off. Seth mentioned he was a fan of Nikki's and shook hands with Victor. Victor questioned Nikki about why she had never brought up Seth after he had departed. Nikki restated Seth's assertion that anonymity is crucial. Sounding worried, Victor remembered that Nikki had told him that everything was okay. Nikki was asked by Victor if she had been having trouble. Nikki looked distressed. The Young and the Restless, YNR, has always been a show that thrives on high-stakes drama, intricate storytelling, and emotional depth, and the recent storyline involving Sharon Newman, Phyllis Summers, Nick Newman, Billy Abbott, and the enigmatic Alan, or is it Martin, has been a roller coaster of twists, turns, and psychological warfare. The culmination of the kidnapping saga, which saw Nick and Billy finally rescuing Sharon and Phyllis, was a moment of relief for fans, but it also left many questions unanswered and a lingering sense of unease. The storyline, which spanned several weeks, was a masterclass in suspense, but it also highlighted some of the show's recurring issues, particularly when it comes to overusing certain tropes and putting characters through repetitive ordeals. Let's start with Sharon Newman, who has had one of the most tumultuous years in Genoa City history. In just 11 weeks of 2025, Sharon has been kidnapped and held hostage not once, but twice. Both times, she found herself in a dungeon-like prison, forced to navigate a series of riddles, clues, and life-threatening challenges. As Sharon herself quipped, it was like an Easter egg hunt gone horribly wrong. The fact that Sharon has spent the entirety of 2025 so far in her holiday attire, first kidnapped on her way to a New Year's Eve party and then again on Valentine's Day, is both absurd and darkly comical. It's almost as if the writers decided to give Sharon a perpetual state of crisis, with no time to even change her clothes. While it's commendable that Sharon has remained front and center in the storyline, one has to wonder if the constant trauma is necessary to keep her relevant. Sharon is a beloved character with a rich history, and she deserves more than being perpetually trapped in a cycle of kidnappings and psychological torment. The kidnapping itself was a bizarre mix of horror, suspense, and dark humor. From the mysterious voice on the loudspeaker to the Valentine's Day cards, poisoned water, antidotes, creepy music, board games, and a gas leak, the ordeal was a sensory overload. Phyllis's shrieking added to the chaos, making the whole situation feel like a twisted game show gone wrong. While the storyline was undeniably gripping, it also felt excessive, especially coming so soon after Sharon's previous kidnapping ordeal. The psychological warfare aspect was intriguing, but it also raised questions about the motivations behind it. Why would Alan, or Martin, go to such lengths to torture Sharon and Phyllis? What was the end game? And how does this fit into the larger narrative of the show? The dynamic between Sharon and Phyllis was another focal point of the storyline. The two women have a long and complicated history, ranging from bitter enemies to reluctant allies. Their relationship had reached a point of mutual respect in recent years, with Phyllis even supporting Sharon during her battle with breast cancer. However, the 2024 storyline reignited their feud, turning them back into enemies. The kidnapping storyline forced them to confront their differences and work together to survive, but the shift from enemies to frenemies felt contrived, especially since it was orchestrated by Alan, a character who had no prior connection to either woman. The idea that Alan, or Martin, would go to such lengths to manipulate Sharon and Phyllis into reconciling is baffling, and it raises questions about the show's commitment to logical storytelling. Speaking of Alan, the mystery surrounding his identity and motivations has been one of the most perplexing aspects of the storyline. Is he the twin who died last year? Was he always the crazy twin? Did neither twin die? Is the real Alan in love with Tracy, or has he been replaced by Martin? The show has kept viewers guessing, but the lack of clarity has been frustrating. While it's nice to have a storyline that keeps fans on their toes, too much ambiguity can lead to confusion and disengagement. The revelation that Alan, or Martin, was behind the kidnapping felt like a twist for the sake of a twist, rather than a natural progression of the story. It also raises questions about the impact on Tracy Abbott, a beloved character who has finally found happiness after years of heartbreak. To have her happiness shattered by the revelation that her fiancé is a psychopath feels unnecessarily cruel, especially since Tracy has always been a grounding presence in the Abbott family. The rescue mission led by Nick and Billy was a highlight of the storyline, showcasing the show's ability to bring together unlikely allies in the face of crisis. Nick's determination to save Sharon and Billy's loyalty to Phyllis added emotional weight to the storyline, even if their efforts were often bumbling and chaotic. The scene where they finally broke into the abandoned clinic and found Sharon and Phyllis was a moment of catharsis, but it was also tinged with humor, as Sharon and Phyllis laughed at Nick's less-than-stellar rescue skills. The dynamic between Nick and Billy was a reminder of the show's ability to balance drama with lighter moments, even in the midst of a high-stakes storyline. However, not all aspects of the storyline were as successful. Summer Newman's constant complaining and self-righteousness have become increasingly grating, and her cowgirl outfit during the rescue mission was a bizarre choice that added to the overall sense of absurdity. Summer's perpetual state of anger and her tendency to insert herself into every situation have made her a divisive character, and her interactions with other women often come across as unnecessarily catty. The show would benefit from giving Summer a more nuanced storyline that allows her to grow as a character rather than perpetuating her role as the resident complainer. On the other hand, Claire's flirtatious interaction with Holden at the bar was a refreshing change of pace. Claire, who has often been portrayed as innocent and naive, showed a new side of herself, and the chemistry between her and Holden was palpable. This brief moment of levity was a welcome contrast to the darker elements of the storyline, and it hinted at the potential for more interesting developments in Claire's character. Meanwhile, Kyle and Claire's relationship continues to feel contrived and lacking in chemistry, and it's hard to shake the feeling that Kyle and Summer are destined to end up together, despite their many flaws. The quiet moments between Victor and Adam were another standout aspect of the storyline. Victor's praise for Adam and his acknowledgement of his son's growth were touching, and Adam's desire to earn his father's love and respect added emotional depth to their relationship. While it's likely that Adam will eventually self-destruct, as he has done so many times before, it's refreshing to see him in a positive light, even if it's only temporary. Chelsea's support for Adam and her willingness to give their relationship another chance were also heartwarming, and it's clear that the show is setting the stage for another round of Chatham drama. Nikki Newman's struggle with alcoholism was another poignant subplot that added emotional weight to the storyline. Her decision to call her Alcoholics Anonymous sponsor after nearly succumbing to temptation was a powerful moment, and her admission that she was struggling with her inner demons was a reminder of the show's ability to tackle serious issues with sensitivity. Victor's concern for Nikki and his efforts to support her were touching, and the scene where Nikki retrieved a flask from her desk drawer but ultimately chose not to drink was a moment of triumph. Nikki's journey toward recovery is a testament to the show's commitment to exploring the complexities of addiction and the importance of seeking help.